You're
full-blown
canceled.
conversation with
You're
someone.
canceled.
Yeah, I don't want to...
Cancel back.
Cancel back.
I double
Hashtag cancel
cancel you
back.
back.
Hashtag cancel back. This episode is sponsored by TravelIsSwell.com. Stick around and find out how you can get 10% off your next trip to the Caribbean.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Unlikely Story. We are super excited today to be joined by producer Jerry Ying. Jerry,
everyone.
welcome, my
Jerry,
friend.
welcome to the show.
Thank you. Super excited to be in Fresno, California.
Super hot and sweaty in Fresno, California.
Feels good in here, though.
It's nice in
That's
here.
all that matters.
Jerry is a producer, and he's also a owner of a production company, Hero LA,
Yep.
which we're going to talk a little bit about. But most recently, Jerry produced the feature film Drowning, directed by Melora Walters, starring Mira Sorvino and Jay Moore, which is pretty cool.
Gil Bellows.
That's
Can't
right.
forget the great Gil Bellows.
Gil Bellows premiered at the 2019 Rome Film Festival. We're going to talk a little bit about that film, I'm sure. And you've just done a bunch of commercials, brand integration type stuff.
Yeah,
a
Hero.
lot.
Yeah,
with
all the Hero
LA.
LA stuff. Well, Hero LA is half branded, and when we have our partnership, we have two of my partners focus heavy on that side. I still executive produce on that side, but I'm more focused on the film and TV. And
Sweet.
so, like, just coming back from Europe, it was not a Hero LA thing. It was just me as a producer. So
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
gets
Got it.
mixed
So a
up.
little bit independent producing as well.
Yeah,
You're
you
also-
have to have both sides because a lot of people get trapped in one or the other, and it becomes more of a struggle.
Yeah.
So having partners that can help manage both sides of that aspect is very important.
That's its own discussion as partners.
Yeah.
But my partners, to their credit, out of nowhere, unsolicited, in the beginning of this year, said that all the work that I do in the film and TV side out there producing and working is that would be just for me, and I wouldn't have to worry about involving Hero LA. But if I could bring the work back, I 100% would. But
That's
I don't
cool.
have to worry about, because we had 4 partners, now we restructured to 3. It was already hard enough to make money with 4.
Yeah.
3 is even difficult as it is. And anyways, so they gave me that freedom. So that really has kind of launched this last 6 months for me to go out there and really push hard for myself as a producer.
That's great.
That's awesome.
You
and
need
you're,
that support.
You're also an actor. You've been acting for a long time.
yeah,
as
It's
well.
been a while. I didn't officially retire. I just ran out of time. There's enough mediocre work of me out there in the world that I actually have to work on auditions, and I just don't have the time.
You've been in Ray Donovan, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Dexter, Hawaii Five-0. I mean, a bunch of stuff.
It's incredible that I had like a 15, 20-year career. I could be really proud. I raised my family as an actor and did it
that's
without
great.
having to have a second job, and which is like remarkable, but
It's miraculous.
That is actually,
yeah.
that like applause
Yeah,
for that.
good,
Like,
good job.
Thank
yeah.
you. But there's very little wealth building there, and but I pieced it together between commercials, TV, film, all of it. It was just
I think that's interesting because you make a good point that there's little wealth building there. And if a person was just going straight for I'm going to be an actor, and they didn't like break out and become like a Chris Pratt or a Mel Gibson or whatever, then it's about consistently trying to work as much as you can on anything you can to kind of keep that flow. Otherwise, you do need to be doing something aside from acting.
yeah.
If you're not in it 100%, if you're not going after every audition and after every major thing and putting all you have into it,
even when you are, you still might not make it.
It's not a meritocracy.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's just say that like you can have a lot of talent and it doesn't work out, or you can have some talent like myself and it works out for you, but
or you can have zero talent and be one of the biggest stars on the planet.
There's really no rhyme or reason, and
or just make like a sex tape or something. And then have
damn,
your
I
own
should have
show.
made- I should have released.
You
a
have your own
sex tape.
show. You have
That's
your own.
that's really where the career needs to go. For
It would
you.
have killed my career. I'm awful at sex these days.
Well, we're going to get into talking to Jerry about films he's produced, how we met and stuff, and also a little bit more about Hero LA, your company.
Yeah.
But I think first, Jerry, tell us a little bit about how you got started in your creative journey? How did you get started in making?
Yeah, from where
content?
did you come, and how was it getting there?
Okay, I'll try to be short about it. Mine was more of a non-start to the creative journey. It was what I knew I didn't want to do. So I was at Columbia uh, studying like advanced sciences, getting ready for medical school.
Oh wow.
Dr. Ying.
That was my parents' dream, yeah. And I kind of just followed along with it because I didn't. My friends all moved. We went to Michigan, and they all moved to the city and got jobs. And I was like, I might as well just continue this path. And then I had a moment where I realized that I don't think this journey was for me. And I was really excelling at that point. Like in college, college was college. I kind of just crammed for every exam. But at Columbia, I really sort of got competitive with it, and wanted to get. I would be like fighting in TA offices for like a higher A. Weird. No, you would not. That's not really my nature.
Wow.
But kind of like sports competitiveness got to academics, and I was really excelling. But I realized that. Well, looking back, connecting the dots, I realized I left because I needed my life to be more creative. And it wasn't even a clean jump. I didn't know what that meant. I started waiting tables in Soho. And so in a lot of ways, that was sort of my first foray out of the bubble, and realizing that like, this is where I really kind of matured, being with people from all walks of life, where I went to school didn't matter. What I did before didn't matter. It was like single moms, gay men, angry older people, beautiful people, sort of this world. And right being in Soho, that kind of launched me into the path I was on. Kind of, there's a lot of creatives down there.
Interesting. That's interesting. And so, what was your first like? What's the first thing you created and filmed or directed or wrote?
Created or filmed or wrote? That came probably. That was We Are Fathers, but that came after 15 years of acting. Even that was sort of. I never thought about acting growing up. It never crossed my mind, and it was basically waiting tables in Soho where they were like, "Hey, you should try this," and I was like, "Me? I've got long hair. I'm Asian." Not something I'd ever thought about or like never fostered in the home. But slowly I started doing commercials, and even then I didn't think about acting.
What was your first gig?
Commercials?
Yeah.
My first
Just
gig.
of all
My
time,
first
yeah.
gig was a Super Bowl commercial.
No
Oh,
way.
really? Okay.
Yeah, Budweiser, Wasabi. Oh, I'm sorry, no. The Monster.com. I did those two back to back. The
Okay.
Monster.com was a Super Bowl commercial.
Okay.
That's
And it was
awesome.
reciting Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken,
Okay.
which I knew by heart because I went to Robert Frost Elementary School, and I've kind of always lived by that.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
so first thing I ever did was a Super Bowl commercial, and then the next thing I did was the Budweiser Wasabi commercial. So that was kind of big back
Wait
then.
a second.
The Wasabi.
You were in that commercial?
Well, here's the interesting story about it. I was actually cast in the original Wasap commercial.
Yeah, yeah.
The director, I forgot his name. He's great. Cast us, and then released all of us because it was a short film he had shot in Philadelphia, and then cast his friends. So I was actually cast in the original Wasap commercial. They dropped us all at the last minute. He cast his friends. It blew up to be the biggest
It
sensation
blew up
ever.
huge.
And as a favor, I guess, or as a gift, they did 3 more right after that, and they just gave me the Wasabi one.
Oh, okay.
So that
nice.
was kind of how
That's
that
cool.
started. Yeah,
That's
Oh,
super
it's cool to be part of that. I'm a little part of that history of like one of the craziest, greatest campaigns ever for like.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And so, have you ever created anything specifically for yourself to act in, giving yourself a role?
I have never. Anything I've ever directed or produced, I've stayed out of it. I feel like it's a big enough job to direct and produce, and I'm not talented. I feel like anyone that does it has to be a master of one or the other part. Like a Jodie Foster can probably step in and just act and just do that in her sleep,
Right.
and then focus on directing.
Right.
But I'm not equating myself to Jodie Foster. But what I'm saying is I kind of inherently knew. And on top of that, I feel like if you're an artist to begin with and you want to separate and break out to sort of above the line work,
Mm-hmm.
you really have to make that clean break as opposed to being someone trying to foster their own brand. And so I've always pushed, one of the greatest things about producing and directing is to give other talented friends work
Yeah.
Yeah.
and to put them into positions to shine. And I think if you throw yourself in it, it muddles it for everybody. This is just my opinion.
Yeah.
We wish we could say that. Travis is in literally everything we've done.
You were great in it. It's not, well, look, there's necessity.
It's always necessity.
And money.
Though.
There's
It's
a
always
difference.
necessity.
If I have to be used, I will. But I've managed to just stay as an extra.
Yeah.
Like, I fight it to the last second.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how it always has been for us. We've never stuck Travis in something because it's like, oh, this is perfect for you as an acting opportunity. It's always been just because
let's save money here.
Save money.
I'll
Like,
do it
Look at
this
that
way.
face, man. Come on. That's got to be in everything.
It's hilarious because he literally is in everything. Held our movie.
If I did it, trust me, everyone I know would be like, there goes Jerry.
Oh,
again.
there's Jerry
my-
again.
So this is an interesting thing because to cross over from an actor to doing what I'm doing now, it was years long of really separating the two things and not conflating,
Right.
and also not self-promoting in any way. I
Yeah.
always pushed Hero LA first and foremost as what we were doing. Kind of one of the proudest things that I feel like I've accomplished is that when I haven't seen people in a while, they'll be like, hey, how's Hero LA doing? It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that feels good. That feels
Something
like I was
that
able
you
to
built. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. It's a little bit easier for us because we usually co-direct, and so if someone's on, it still is difficult co-directing, co-producing, all of that stuff. But it's nice to have someone who's directing, and then I can kind of step aside and get into the role if I am acting in something, and that makes it a little bit easier. But if it was one person doing all those things, I could see how it gets. You're herding cats to begin with, and it's difficult enough to do that, let alone to be, one of the dogs, sheepdogs, or herding dogs,
there's plenty
as well
on
as
your
the person
plate.
guiding
There's
it. Yeah,
plenty on your plate as opposed to worrying about memorizing lines and being and then the other just zone all that out and just be an actor. I've never even done it, so I've never even attempted. So
you got a great look. I think we watched John Wick 3 last night.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And there was a guy, I was like, dang, that dude looks like Jerry, man.
He was bald, but his face looked a lot like
Yeah, he had like a cool smile like that and that cool gruff look you got.
I think I know who it is.
It's not the main guy. It wasn't the main bad guy. He was in
Is
like
his name
the
Roger? Is it Roger?
I don't know. I gotta look it up. He was in the
know.
knife fight in the beginning.
If it is Roger, I know him well.
Do you?
And he's like a big stunt second unit director, one of my very close friends.
I like the Iron Chef guy in that one. And he was also in a movie that I watched as a kid called Only the Strong. It was
Who's
like
that? Oh,
the Brazilian capoeira.
Yeah, I worked with him on Hawaii Five-0.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Why
yeah.
am I blanking on his name?
He was so cool in that Only the
He's
Strong.
one of the nicest guys.
We
on the planet.
would like mimic all their moves when we were kids. My brother and I, we were like, all right, we just watched Dad. Let's go outside and do the Jenga and like try to do our like spins and up moves. And
I always tell this story. When I first came to LA, I ended up being invited to this all Asian poker game, and it was like Russell Wong, Sun Kang, all these like.
dang, dude, the
guys.
mathematics in that room's got to be off the charts,
No,
right?
wrong group. No, that's the wrong
Wrong group. Oh, darn it.
But I remember Ron invited me back to this place, and we had this conversation, and he was like, hey, so what do you want to do? So on and so forth. And, we had a whole conversation. And like years later, he told me, he's like, yeah, I had that conversation with you, and I could tell that you weren't ready. And that always stuck with me because, especially in this town, it's like, anyone that's a doer or not doer. And when I met you guys, I immediately recognized other people who are doing it. And I think I showed up, I was like, oh yeah, it's gonna be cool. I want to surf. I want to do this. Life would be great.
Right.
I didn't have any focus as to what I wanted to do, but I was working. And that was kind of a handicap,
Yeah.
in a weird way, because I didn't have to fight for much.
Yeah. The worst enemy to a great life is a good life.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel the need to grind it out harder and work harder than you are comfortable.
I mean, there's always that sense of fear. Like there was never comfort,
Mhm.
but you also weren't like in the Titanic, like with the water rising, drowning, trying
Yeah.
to get through the corridors.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's totally true.
I think we feel that a lot as independent filmmakers being somewhat outside of the system.
Yeah.
Because we've had agents and managers at times but not really been connected to them. I mean, from what we hear, a lot of managers and agents are not really connected to their clients anyway. So us being a little bit further out, it made it feel like we were just forgotten in a lot of cases. And so we've had to like keep going and making things happen for ourselves or creating things out of nothing just to kind of keep
I
going.
think that's the only way.
Mhm.
I really think even if you have agents and managers that really believe in you, I think you got to keep doing your own thing and always be presenting new, like, you know what I mean? Like always showing up at the table and like, oh, something new's going on. And
Yeah.
I think that generates, agents and managers. I've had them all. And even on the literary side, agents' jobs are really kind of to push deals over the line when they're kind of together.
Yeah.
And managers are there to, to sort of help guide you as well. But ultimately, you just want people in your circle that really believe in you. That's it doesn't matter the name of the agency they're with. If someone believes in you, that's the most important thing.
Yeah. I think we've grown to realize that even more as our careers have kind of gone on. I think we find ourselves gravitating more and more towards people, A, that we want to work with that are just awesome people.
Yes.
But B, people that, like you said, are supportive and believe in Tremendum as a thing, not just like whatever project we're working on. It's like they believe in what we're doing and
yeah, like if people believe that Tremendum sprinkling its sauce on whatever project is going to elevate it, and they know that we do that with everything that we're working on, then it makes it so smooth. It makes it so great. And that reputation, I think, is something we want to just continue to strengthen.
Yeah.
You know what's not very smooth though, as I've heard? Passing a kidney stone.
Oh,
I got it.
Oh boy.
What are you talking about? Have you heard something about me that happened in the last few days?
I heard something recently about you, Jerry. Literally, we were going to do this. Didn't we have this plan for yesterday or something? I can't remember.
Oh my God.
And we saw something on Facebook. I think that Jerry was in the hospital in the ER. And
like,
Travis was like, I don't know if Jerry's
bro.
coming up. So you just had a little bit of a scare, Jerry. Tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, because you were like, I didn't know about this, right?
Hey, and let this be a lesson to everyone in the story you're about to hear. I was saying to Jerry, life happens.
Yes.
Even when you're a big time movie producer and actor, life happens.
If my story can help one person out there,
Yeah.
I'm happy to share it. Yeah, no, it came out of the blue. It's like an urban legend myth. I've had friends like telling me like they've gotten it and they've been stuck on the floor and can't crawl from the bathroom to a phone.
Yeah.
And honestly, you're kind of just mesmerized and you kind of laugh at your friends like, that's crazy. Like
Yeah.
that sucks and that's crazy, dude. I'm sorry. But I went through it and it was to the point where like I thought it was appendicitis at first. So the first thing is if you guys are feeling a sharp, sudden pain, sort of from like the left side. If it's the right side, it could be your appendix, which is also dangerous because, you hear of like appendix bursting.
Rupture.
Yeah.
And it's always the same line in movies. Like if you came in 30 minutes later, you'd be dead.
Yeah.
And that was what was ringing through my head because my family's in New York and I was in my bedroom and it started to the pain started to come. And I was like, I do not want to be outside that 30-minute window where they're like, if I didn't make it in. So I basically called an Uber, crawled into it. The pain was on my left side. There was a pressure building in my groin area because you basically can't pee.
Yeah.
And so this is the feeling. It feels like there's a knife in your side, like an 8-inch chef's knife, and it's constantly twisting. So you have that going on while you have this pressure in your groin area that's so uncomfortable. So you're uncomfortable and you're in pain at the same time. And you're keeled over. You can barely like walk. And so I kind of just did what every responsible person should do is get themselves to an emergency room.
Yeah.
And then that's when you realize how miserable an emergency room is. You forget.
Oh, yeah.
They whisked me in and put me in a room by myself, put the curtains around, and for 2 hours left me. And
Oh, yeah.
these were literally the words coming out of my mouth, like, help. Can somebody help me, please?
Oh, no.
I think there's something really bad going on.
Did they get you any cranberry juice?
No one ever came in to help me.
They didn't get you any cranberry juice to help
They
break
gave
that
me
thing up?
nothing. And as a matter of fact, I kept thinking, what are these other emergency room people thinking? I probably sound like a heroin addict that was jonesing.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got the courage because I really actually thought something bad was going to happen to go outside my area and track down a dude and just look him in the eye and have him see the level of fear that was in my eye.
Yeah.
Finally came in and then, the morphine drip saved me for a good couple hours.
He didn't come in and do one of these things where it's like, oh, sorry, I was just busy with this guy that lost his arm, but what
Trust
a
me,
wuss,
I
you know?
kept
Hey,
listening.
how about you? You know,
The
and
worst
like,
part about it was I kept listening to all the conversations going on, and none of them felt nearly as dire as mine. Like,
Hey, what are you doing
one
for lunch
doctor
on
was
summer?
joking
Yeah.
with someone over here. Another one was going. None of them, and they were just ignoring my
your pain.
cries for like.
You didn't
help.
get misdiagnosed, did you? I remember one time I was feeling pain like that and I thought it was a kidney stone. Turned out it was just like a weird bladder infection. But I'm in there and I'm talking to the doctor and he's like, it might be like gonorrhea. And I was like, it was interesting. And I knew it wasn't, okay? Because I've only had sex with my wife, okay? And we're going on August, it'll be 20 years married.
Wow! Congratulations.
Okay? Thank you. And I'm like, I mean, there's no possible way. I was like, that's funny, doc. I think it's something else. He's like, well, how do you know? I was like, well, I know. And he's like, he just
So
assumed
funny.
that
By the way,
everyone
just because you
is
have a doctor's
promiscuous.
license doesn't mean you're good at your job. And I have
right.
firsthand experiences about that. But yeah.
Just think if you had become a doctor, Jerry, you could have,
Yeah.
you could have, saved
By the
yourself.
way, thank God I didn't. I literally would have been one of the biggest jerks on the planet. I needed
You would have been
every year of my 20-year journey as an artist just to develop empathy and,
It's a
and
kindness.
grow.
Yeah.
Yes. I would have been the worst.
And
kind
you
of
really
doctor.
need empathy, honestly, to be a storyteller. I feel like to create characters that audiences can empathize
Well,
with.
you should have it as a doctor, but many don't.
Yeah.
And-
I wanted to be a surgeon, and I would kind of, let's just say it's a good thing I didn't become a
Good
doctor.
thing. I'm glad that you jumped into the space, the creative space, and we're talking about about Drowning, and the director of that.
Mm.
She's an actress. Was this her debut?
Melora Walters? No, this is as a director, you mean?
Yeah, as a
No,
director.
she had done a feature the year before called Water Lily Jaguar
Mm.
that I think Paul Thomas Anderson was an executive producer on.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
And, she has a great group of friends. I mean, we could not have made Drowning if it was not for her relationships. From the call sheet, from Mira Sorvino all the way down, and Gil Bellows
Mhm.
were established actors.
Oh yeah.
And they all came in on, the low budget SAG low budget deal.
Yeah.
None of the managers and agents really fought us in negotiations, especially with anything union related. And and they were all professionals. I mean, we shot that film in 9 or 10 days,
Wow.
That's cool.
which was crazy. I mean, what was crazier is that we pre-pro'd in 10 days. So, which was really bad.
That's fast.
Full unions, full locations, full everything.
Yeah.
That film landed in our lap January 2nd, and there wasn't a lot of money to make it, but we had to be shooting by January 11th because it was all built around our DP Chris Seuss, who was incredible. Thank God for him. But I looked at my one film partner and I was like, "What's the worst that can happen? We'll have a film in the can by the end of January." And pre-production was bad shit, but
Just go for it.
the shoot was smooth.
Nice.
We went overtime one day by an hour,
Wow.
and we made a beautiful film, and then premiered at Rome,
That's
on one of the biggest red carpets I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's a good
Nice.
producer
Incredible.
right there. Staying on schedule, getting it done,
we
getting it
finished
done
the
tight.
schedule. We finished 2 days early. I think we had an 11-day shoot. We finished in 9, but that's a credit to, honestly, the professionalism of the actors.
yeah, the performances,
come
they were
in-
dialed in and ready. Yeah.
They came in ready, 3.5 pages, 4 pages. I mean, we moved up scenes, and that's how ready they were. They would come in and nail the rehearsal, which, by the way, the former actor in me, I'd be on the monitor, and I'd be like, oh, this is what professionals do.
Yeah.
I always kind of looked at rehearsals as a way to
No.
get off book. They came in
Right.
full script in their minds,
Right.
with a plan,
Wow.
fully ready to go. Meanwhile, not being paid any money. Really.
Right.
That's a true professional. So everyone on this show was a pro, and we never waited for camera or lighting. So
Amazing.
Let me ask you, what do you think was? I mean, I know it's French. Obviously, the relationship between Melora and the talent is a big deal. Obviously, the content of the script needed to speak to those actors
Yeah.
in order for them to feel like excited about it and that desire. But I feel like there are a lot of great actors that get paid big budget amounts for big budget films, but that would happily do smaller pieces for little to no money if they feel that it connects, like J.K. Simmons on Whiplash.
Mhm.
I mean, it was
a short film.
a tiny short film,
Yeah.
day rate, couple $100, and then same thing with the feature was not much more. I mean, it was still a
Yeah.
very low budget feature,
Yeah.
but he got an Oscar for that performance. And I think Blumhouse still owed him some money. We're like, hey, we're trying to get hold of JK. We got another like $300 for his last 2 days.
Yeah.
Like it's like, wow, that's crazy.
I think the way it works is, yes, I think material matters, but I think more importantly, you have to believe in the people selling you the material. JK must have had a meeting with, I'm sorry, what was the director?
Damien
Chazelle.
These are young kids. And when you look at young artists and you're an artist and you buy into what their vision is,
Mhm.
and if your schedule fits, I imagine if you're J.K. Simmons and your schedule fits and you buy into a great meaty role you can get into.
Yeah.
And, he had a vision, clearly, which was to shoot the short and use that to raise the money for the feature. And the short took place in one room, so it couldn't have been that crazy of a shoot.
Right.
Yeah.
It was just a music room.
I want to say something about that, like to young filmmakers out there who might be, listening to this, who, if you've got a short film or a proof of concept or something you're looking to get made, and you might want to go for a name actor like a J.K. Simmons or someone recognizable.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to go for it. Just be ready with your stuff. Have a vision.
Yep.
Have a pitch deck. Have visuals. Be energized and super connected to whatever it is you're trying to make. That's why it's important to make material that you're connected to, because that passion shows through. It's exactly what Jerry's talking about here. Even with a green filmmaker, with someone brand new, Damien Chazelle was able to get that connection and make it because he had a great vision and a great plan of attack and a great script.
Yeah, I mean, like anyone starting out indie-wise, you have to convince everyone around you that you have something worthwhile to get involved in, and it's worthwhile to just sort of build that relationship with me now as we grow. And then obviously you have to prove it on the day and keep proving it over and over again.
Yeah.
But right off the bat, you got to be someone who, you can recognize it. You sit down with someone, and it doesn't always work out.
Right.
It's like venture capitalism. Like
Right.
even actors are taking their gambles with different directors they're working
Sure.
with, you know. Sometimes they overextend themselves, or sometimes they get themselves into something like, what the F did I just get myself into?
Right.
But they stay committed, and you just keep moving and learning. But
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's totally true. I love that. And I think it's, again, for filmmakers, young or old, just starting out or even established, that's really the key, is having passion, a vision, knowing what you're about to do. Even if it doesn't go exactly the way as planned, it's really about those connections. And that's where you really start to make waves and make, noise in the industry.
I feel like there's a level of confidence that you have to have. And I'm saying this knowing that at times, a lot of times, I doubt myself.
Mm.
Like every movie that we've made and got released has been released in some theatrical manner as well.
incredible.
Like to us, it's like, okay, well, that's kind of just how it's supposed to be. That's how we do things. We make it for that to happen. And it has happened. We are also often told how miraculous that is because all the films we've done have been independently made. And so I feel very lucky, but at the same time, none of those have had like real big names in them.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is also another pretty like miraculous thing. Wait, you haven't had real big names, so they've been virtual unknowns in these things? True.
I think it probably helps you guys, and I think you guys are in a genre where you don't need the big names. I think the star is the genre.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It is. I feel like as we're moving on, I feel like the next big step for us is to do more with bigger names and at
hopefully
times
not
I'm like,
independently.
Hopefully not independently.
With
but-
studio money.
Well, true, but at the same time, I feel like there's some real control and power in being able to do it independently. Like we have a slate of films that we are hoping to do that we can
will
do
do.
independently. Yeah, that we will do. And we can do them independently. If we do them with the studio, that'd be great. But I feel like it's something that if we reached out to the right people, they would be interested in doing it because of our track record and the dedication we put into every little thing. The actors that we have worked with have gone on to some really big things, and they know that if I'm in something with Chris and Travis or a Tremendum Pictures film, the best frame of me is going to be shown every possible moment, and every detail that they can take will do that. And I think having that in the film will solidify those relationships. Like I'm sure with Melora and her cast in Drowning, it's like it's so important for people to know how dedicated each person is going to be to their role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like all projects, you start with 100% trust, and then you can chip away at it. If you're not doing your job, or at least trying to improve every day.
Right.
It's like I forget who told me, but as a producer, you got to earn it every day. It's not something just because you have a title that you're gonna get that respect from. You have to be proving it every day, one shape or form, one solution here, one major crisis here, whatever it is that you're doing your best, and that your decisions are going to be best for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
It's the same for what you're talking about with projects. You guys are showing with each project. Not only that, but each film is improving in terms of the quality of cinema and filmmaking. And Held was great, and beautiful. And I already told you I'm going to steal that house for another show,
we might
which I want to see.
We want to go check that out
we're
today.
In Fresno.
Or go bug the homeowner.
That's all you can do is start building a resume of proof of effort. And credibility, and then you never know. Like, say you guys have a script and there's a name you're looking for, and there's a producer that has a connection to that person. Next, sell us to that actor, and get them to buy in. And then that's
that's another great strategy too. Packaging. If you, let's say, back to that scenario, if you have a film that you're trying to get off the ground and you're trying to get a name actor or someone recognizable in it, and you want some proof of your talent, go make something that doesn't need that person, that just is awesome. Go make a horror short film that stars no one but yourself or whatever, your friend, and just kick butt and make it awesome. And it's like, boom, now you all of a sudden have a proof of your talent. You have a proof of your capabilities, and you can show that to people. I mean, we've done the exact same thing. We made trailers, proof of concepts. We've shown you some of those. And that goes a long way. I mean, it really does. I mean, because really, otherwise, people are just kind of taking you at your word. But, the proof is in the pudding, as we said earlier. Like, it's go make something and show them,
Yeah. There's all sorts, writing is another quick, powerful way to just immediately respond to people. Because they're going to read something and it just reads beautifully, or like something they've never seen. You never know what can happen there.
Where can people see Drowning? Where is it?
Drowning, it was bought by Gravitas, and I think you can get it on VOD.
All the VOD platforms.
Yeah, or that deal is still being struck. The pandemic kind of messed things up, and
did for a lot of movies, unfortunately.
Yeah, we basically went from opening in Rome to being nominated for Best Feature at Austin, and then I went to Sundance and started drumming up all this feature. It was my first feature that I had produced, and drumming up all this business, and the pandemic hit. And only recently have I picked back up all the feature stuff, which has been incredible because I'm working with Europe a lot, and I'm also working with a big Latinx/Asian producing partner. So we're doing a lot of stuff like that. It's like now, I mean, every day is still new for me. I'm learning every day. I always find myself, I had to ask myself, why do I always feel like I'm over my skis a little bit, But I think I'm always just pushing for learning, growing, and trying to do things. Like, I'm just not interested in doing the exact same thing and settling and finding a way and just keep, raking on that. I just want to keep growing, and there's so much to learn in this business.
It really is. And there's so many different aspects to making a film. You don't even realize until you make one. I mean, you think, okay, I point a camera and I film something, but there's so much more after the fact, marketing. It just goes on and on.
Yeah, the business end, the back end, like the physical production side, I feel pretty comfortable about, and the creative side, the talent side, because I've been there. I've done a lot of that, and early on with the stuff you produce, you do a lot of their own editing. Like, I've done all of those things. I have Johannes Joing, if you ever look him up, he has a lot of editing credits. That's me.
Oh, that's you.
What? Is that a pseudonym or something?
It is. I think someone messed up, like John Travolta or something. I think maybe with Idana Menzel's name, and he had like some sort of like John Travolta fire, and I put in Jerry Ying, and Johannes Joing, like some Scandinavian guy, came out, and I basically put all my editing credits onto him. One day he may win an Oscar and no one will show up.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. That is so funny.
Wait, isn't that the Coen brothers? Wait, someone does that. There's some big director.
There is like a pseudonym for directors that decide not to take the directing credit. and that shows
There's a common one that a lot of people use. It's like Atticus Rex or something weird like that. It's really weird. I can't remember what it is. I got to look that up actually. Real quick.
Yeah.
But I just reminded me of the John Travolta Adele Dazeem.
Adele Dazeem.
Adele. Yeah. By the way, I'm connected to that in a weird way. My college friends all went to Syosset High School, 3 of them. Jason Pascal and Idina Menzel are from that high school. And so when Rent was in the East Village where I lived, off Broadway, I saw Rent.
Oh, nice.
Alan Smithee. That's what it is.
Alan Smithee.
Alan Smithee is the official pseudonym used by film directors who wish to disown a project.
He does sound like a crappy director. He sounds like a smarmy, crappy director with a rich father.
Yeah, coined in 1968 and used until it was formally discontinued in 2000. Okay.
I hope to never use that. Never have to use that.
Well, it's been discontinued apparently, but the Smithee pseudonym was created to use for the film Death of a Gunfighter, released in 1969. Lead actor Richard Widmark was unhappy with director Robert Totten.
That's hilarious.
Anyway.
By the way, that's not why I created my name. I loved all my editing.
Yeah. That's not what we're talking about.
This is also part of what I was talking about earlier about not taking every credit. Like, what are you trying to do? What's the big picture? Instead of like, I'm the writer, I'm the lead actor, writer, director, editor. Like, yeah, of course, anyone's baby. You're going to do you're the biggest producer.
Yeah.
There's no doubt.
It's a little bit Robert Rodriguez on some of that stuff for us. And Chris and I think, have been trying to do less of that.
We just recently were working on the title credits for our TV pilot that we did, and we were talking about this very same thing. Yeah. We could have credited ourselves like 4 more times, and I was like, nah, we should probably narrow it down a little bit. Like, let's take the credits that matter the most.
So one of the ways I look at it is it's also unsustainable, and there are people that do it that are just way better than you at it, and you want to foster their growth. Like, you look at Spielberg, and everyone he works with is like a maestro. And those are relationships started young. And if you keep growing work, they keep getting better at what they're doing. And honestly, what you really want is for you to hand over and trust someone and them to bring it back to you way better than you ever imagined. And even if not, you're cool with it because not everything's going to be perfect and there's no such thing. It's just sort of
and just on to the next
Everyone
thing.
should be doing what they're best at doing.
Yeah, and we have gone from being it's like having kids. Your first kid, like you're boiling the pacifier if it touches the ground, even if it's face up,
Wrap them in bubble wrap.
The second kid, you're like, oh, that fell in the dirt. And then you put it back in their face. The third kid, you're like, I don't even know where that kid is.
You're brave. I stopped after the first kid. Yeah. You have 3?
I have 4 kids.
4?
Yeah, you didn't meet the youngest when you
Why do I feel like there's gonna be a 5th?
No, he's
we're done. 4 is the new 10. So.
4 is the new 10.
Yeah.
Speaking of 10, Trina, our wardrobe lady, she has 10 kids. She's moving out of California.
10 kids?
10 kids.
Yep.
Oh my God. You could just train them all to be like crew.
They were all on the film set. Yeah, at one time or another. They've all helped. It's pretty awesome.
It's like the Jackson 5, but for like film.
But there was something we were talking about right before we started rolling that I found interesting. There was something you said about Tropic Thunder, which we love. By the way, it's one of our favorite comedies. Robert Downey Jr. in that.
This is where the story started.
Funny.
So I was in Bucharest 3 weeks ago. We were doing a TV doc series on the sewer kids. First of all, the hardest work I've ever done, but also the most rewarding. I now know that survivors of sex trafficking are by far the strongest people on this planet.
Wow.
By far. Shoot. But the last day we were there, we had these 2 villas outside Bucharest, and our camera operator, who was a big cinephile, he's Italian from Tuscany or Florence. I think he's from Florence. No, he's from Tuscany. And him and his father were camera 1 and camera 2. And we had like artists, production designers, and half the villa had left and gone to northern Bucharest to go to a prison to capture some pickup stuff. Mm-hmm. And it was our last night, and he cooked us this amazing dinner. By the way, bolognese is not a real thing. That's American invented. They could not stop talking about it. So he made us like ragu toscana, which was delicious. And he goes, we are going to watch my favorite film. And I was like, what is he going to bring? And he's like, this is my favorite film of all time, and it's amazing. And I go, what are we watching? And he goes, Tropic Thunder. I swear to God, I was at the same time mortified and so happy, and I couldn't believe it. And then I was like, I haven't seen Tropic Thunder in a decade. And we sat down, and I was also curious as like, how are all these Europeans? Because we had Italians, we had Austrians, we had Germans, we had a whole consortium of European crew, which is its own story and how different that is than American production. But they got every joke. And I forgot how amazing that film is. And what we were talking about was, the sad thing is, I don't think you can make that film today.
Can't do it. Can't do it today.
Sad. And some of the funniest aspects of that movie are the aspects that everyone attacks
they went
now.
after everybody.
Yeah.
No one was safe. And but honestly, I have faith that I think like this whole cancel culture and lack of humor, general humor in entertainment now will come back. It has to. It's going to swing back.
Well, I mean, look, it's the problem, I think, is that people want to take something that's, for most people, like clearly a joke or clearly intended to, like, you know, swipe at something, you know, and they actually want to take it and try to, like, take control over that person and what they said and not allow for the understanding of the nuance of the joke or the deeper meaning behind the joke. A lot of cases, it's manipulative and it's done with malice to try to hurt that person. Other times, the person is actually just not smart enough to understand the several layers deep of that joke. And so they're like, you this, and it's like, okay, do I continue to argue with this person how stupid they are? They don't understand the joke, or you just have to kind of let it roll off your back?
Yeah.
You kind of have to let it roll off your back.
Two elements to this. One is, I think we're conscious enough as a society to know when someone is just ignorant and making jokes, or actually malicious in making jokes, and someone who's actually aware and empathetic and an artist reflecting back on the absurdity of sort of like situations. Like, I think we can all see through that. That is one element. Well, the other element is social media, which is like, why are we letting these people who hide, do they create anything in their lives? What do they do in their lives that they can judge what artists who are actually putting themselves out there, risking living in the arts and actually adding to something?
Right. I think I read something great recently. Someone said something to Mike Rowe, who I like a lot. Mike Rowe, he's the Dirty Jobs guy. He had a show called Dirty Jobs.
Yeah, I remember that job.
That show. He was an opera singer, a really smart guy. And he's about like the nuts and bolts, hard work, grinding, get a vocation, learn to weld. Don't do like underwater basket weaving at the college. You know, like one of them will get you a
That's
sustainable
actually a major.
income.
Sounds amazing.
Well, right. Too many people thought it was amazing, and now we have a bunch of people with degrees that don't get them any work. You know.
Yes. And now they teach underwater basket. That's
right
all
now
they
they're
can do.
teachers, so
they
it's
have to get a PhD to teach
it's
that.
perpetual education. I had a friend who went to school and he just kept going to school, and I was like, "What is this? Eternal students? Like, there's a problem."
The one group in life that I tend to find myself at odds with all the time are academics.
Yeah, it's
for
crazy.
some reason we're just like that.
Yeah. Well, this is what he had said. The person says, well, I can't respect a guy that would say this or that, and he says, what makes you think that I care about your respect? And it's like, so
you're some random person on social media. Like, I don't care.
I don't care what you have to say.
We now know social media, the loudest voice. It's just like the election, just like the 4 years. I mean, the bigger question is how do we come back from that? How do we create an environment that's not so toxic and like? Well, no. I'm moving to Europe
because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Like,
I'm not joking.
Here's the thing. In watching news and watching even a lot of late night comedians, a lot of that is hate-filled, like one-sided disdain for other people. Like, it's not funny anymore. Like, I loved Jimmy Fallon, Kimmel, like all these guys, but like even Letterman, I was a big Letterman fan growing up. I was able to, respect was preserved for Leno to me, because he's someone that I think cared about everyone, even if he disagreed with other people. He understood that other people I disagree with might be coming from a place that I've never been. So I have to consider that when I'm talking about those things. But like, there's some straight up just like hate coming out of people that are, it's supposed to be funny.
It might be because Leno's a minority. He might have more understanding of like trying to understand other people, you know?
Well, there's a different era too, I think. Yeah. Leno comes from an era of people really having to grind, and not that Fallon hasn't and some of these guys haven't, but this modern way of viewing things or comedy or the instant gratification. Like a lot of people just don't understand.
And it's
the
echoed on
work.
social media.
This is what I think.
It's echoed on
and this is why I'm probably going to be living in Europe. I'll still be working in LA, but I think I'm building all the bridges to be able to not be living here. Is that I feel like the romance is gone in America. The concept of that, the idea of like anti-intellectualism is running stuff right now. And there's just you just can't do anything here and be free to sort of make mistakes and learn and grow.
And it's sad. It's very sad.
And now everything, as soon as you do something, it's immediately judged, and it's being judged by my problem with social media was always the far 10% on the left and the far 10% on the right. Both of them were equally culpable to me
gross.
Of where we are right now.
Yeah.
Right. Just the most people that clearly to me, the more miserable you were with your own life, the more you were exuding that
and
into
putting it on
everyone
others.
else's life. Because I think the 70% in the middle, or
there's a whole reasonable bunch in the middle, that are now being forced to choose.
I was in Sturgis. I don't know if you guys know what Sturgis is.
Yeah, it's biggest biker capital.
Yeah, so I did a show there. It was amazing. I was asked like, "Hey Jerry, you ride motorcycles, right?" I was like, "Well, I used to own, but since I had my kid, I don't." But they were like, "How about we trailer 4 motorcycles out to Sturgis for you, and you do something and produce this and do this show for us?" I was like, yes.
That would be awesome.
Yes. But with that came me really embedding with a lot of trailer parks and camper, sites. And I mean, everywhere, like I could have grabbed some gravel and thrown it at any RV or any group, and they would have invited me over for a beer. And I talked to a lot of people. Basically, to me, it was most of America. They would invite their neighbors over for a drink.
Yeah.
You could have differing opinions and have reasonable conversations.
Yeah.
Where contrarily, in LA, if I threw stones, I'm probably going to hit 50% of a-holes that I don't want to talk to, which is interesting. Made me realize I've been living in the 2 biggest bubbles. I was in New York City for 12 years, and I've been in LA for 14 years. But where I feel like there's real people taking you for your face value for what you are. I feel like New York City has that actually, but the middle of the country also has that also. And this social media has given the brand, we've all been branded wrong, I think.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is like you hit this perfectly, is when you actually sit down and talk to people, a lot of those disagreements fade away. You really understand their perspective, their point of view, where they're coming from.
And you want to hear them.
And you want to hear it. You want to have that dialogue. That doesn't exist on social media. And no one's mind will ever be changed. It's just
because you can type something and you don't have to look at someone in the face and say it.
Yeah, you just wipe your hands.
Say something mean and not worry about what are the consequences of me saying something this angry to someone. That we're moving now into that Wall-E world where, which is kind of scary.
And it's weird because when I'm right next to someone, I can get a vibe from them, from looking at them, from being around their presence. And that's one of the reasons I think a lot of podcasts are doing well, is because you can go on a journey with someone. You can understand the nuance. You can be like, oh, I remember him talking about this and he didn't fully understand it. But now I see he's kind of come around. He's like, I see the error in what I was thinking then. It's a journey of learning, and no one is allowing for it to happen. You have to be perfect. You have to be 100%. It's like, how are you going to cancel Kevin Hart? One of the funniest dudes on the planet, one of the hardest working guys on the planet.
I think
one
he
of the most
survived
tolerant
the
guys.
cancellation, though. I think he survived.
I think he made it
He
through.
did, but he had to cancel back.
You kind of have to
I think you have to cancel back a little bit on some of these.
Hashtag cancel back.
Hashtag cancel back. We're starting it right now. Hashtag cancel back.
Cancel back.
You cancel me?
Oh, no,
I didn't even hear what you
cancel
just said. I didn't even hear what you just said. You know why? Because you got canceled by me.
Cancel back.
Cancel back. Hashtag cancel back.
Oh my God, we are so screwed.
We're all
No, but there's something. Even Matt Damon just said he studied for the Stillwater movie. He lived with some folks and
did
he's
well
like,
at Cannes. I heard he got a 5-minute standing ovation.
yeah, it's great. And he was like, look, we learned a lot from being with people that we're not normally with or that we didn't grow up with. And there's a lot to learn about that.
I think you're right, though, going back to what you started saying, Jerry, is I think it is going to swing back. I think people are going to start seeing this is kind of crazy. We're going way overboard. Let's get back to normal or some semblance of normal.
People are getting canceled for something they tweeted when they were 14.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't
we wouldn't
make
have
any
anyone
sense.
in any positions of power right now. I mean, come on, honestly,
I would have been canceled 10 times. Trust me.
Yeah.
Thank God I had no phone.
No one
or
is squeaky
anything
clean.
Like that
all
the
of our
time.
presidents,
Young?
all of our presidents for the last 30 years would have been
George
in jail.
Bush.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, dude, even Biden, like that guy he plagiarized left and right and lost several presidential elections early on in his career. And I'm like, how the
He just
heck?
seems more boring than
Yeah,
Bush.
yeah.
Bush,
He's
he would have
not-
been more. He was probably more like one of us. He would sit here and like hack it up with us.
Bush was more of like a beer guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'll
Oh,
have
yeah.
a beer with you. Like a Bradley Cooper. People like him because you could have a beer with him.
I voted for Bush in his first election. You know, I went from being a Democrat to voting for him because I couldn't see myself voting for Al Gore.
Yeah.
I kind of resent that
I-
vote because I feel like we've been at war in the Middle East for the last 20 years. Let's not get to politics, boys. How about that?
No. Well, listen though. Listen, I think a lot of the things that the left represent and the right represent, I think they both want the same thing. I think they're painted as being polar opposites. But what it is they believe that things went down differently. And so it's like, well, there's manipulation on both sides. So like, for example, someone on the right may say, well, I like Trump because of what he did for black people. And someone on the left will be like, I hate Trump because of what he did for black people. Both people are for black people in that instance. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's like, well, what's the truth about what really went down then? And how are people are being manipulated to think different things? So it's like, I hate this group. But it's like, wait, we both want prosperity for minorities.
Well, this blew my mind. I think when I was flying to Europe, you know, my flight out, I read an article. It was about quantum physics. I don't read these things. I think it just showed up in my feed. I was like, why is
Oh, this is what I'm ready for.
Yeah.
This is my jam
But
right here.
They
Quantum
said
physics.
they proved it. They said they proved that a fact can be perceived in two completely different ways. And they weren't talking about spoken facts or historical facts. It was like a proton or some sort of quantum physics,
Mhm.
you know, whatever the word was, that if you looked at it in two different ways, that fact expressed two different realities. But one single fact. And it may be too simplified and oversimplified, but I was like, that's got to explain so much to me. I can live with that because you can look, it's just like any sort of murder trial, right?
Yeah.
Two experts
Right.
are hired by two different sides
Right.
and give two completely different stories.
Right.
And so therefore, the level of empathy I've now reached over after 20 years of working at it is that I feel like everyone's point of view is valid.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and
But
no one wakes up thinking, I want to lie to myself,
Yeah.
or I want to wake up and make my life worse. I think everyone believes that what they're doing, for whatever, you know, you don't want to take the big
However correct or misguided it may be.
even if they're being misguided, it's true to them. It's like when you're an actor, they always said, you know, because I did play a lot of bad guys like in indie films, is that, you know, they always said that guy doesn't think he's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Right.
He thinks
what
he's the good guy. And
Yeah.
so don't play the cliche.
Right.
And the best actors that play the bad guys like good guys, you love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they
You-
really believe what they're doing
Like
is right for
Gene
me.
Hackman as Lex Luthor or
Yeah.
whatever. He reads that
Oh, yeah.
script and he's not playing to the cliche.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like if people
That's an old reference.
No, I
like
like
no,
that
it's a
one.
good
On
one.
that
It's a good one. But if people will just like take a deep breath and seek first understanding,
Seek first understanding. Yes. Yes.
that everyone would get along. Well, not everyone would get along because some people want to manipulate and have
This is
power.
this is what I say, and because I feel like I'm living proof positive of it. I used to have zero empathy. When I say zero empathy, growing up, I was like, if I could do it, you could do it, and I learned that in like an improv moment in drama school where I realized I had a problem. But it's taken concerted effort for 20 years to keep working on empathy, working on asking people and talking and being open to like a lot of, you know, like I remember my friend took me out to dinner and we talked. He was like, "You're a terrible listener." And meanwhile, I'm talking over him. He's like, "You see?" But
Like,
have
what
to
are
be
you
able to
talking about?
Yeah.
I'm a fantastic
No, it
listener. Let me
literally
tell you
was-
how good of a listener I am. No, let me tell you how good of a listener I am.
Exactly.
He's like,
Exactly. That was me. But you have to have a certain level of humility and you have to give over to not being the winner, not being right. And it's taken 20 years. And so when I look at, I can recognize someone that's unempathetic very quickly, but I also recognize how much work I had to put in over years to become empathetic. So it's not something that can just happen overnight. It takes real
Right.
work and you have
Right.
to want it.
Yeah.
And I don't believe most people want it. It's
well,
too hard.
hard work. It's like working out. It's like trying to.
It's like character work. Yeah, it's like going to the
character
gym
work.
for your character.
Yeah, it's hard. I don't want to do it.
And
I know I'm going to have to really focus and go for it.
And people don't want to
And you mess up along the way.
You don't want to change either. I mean, that's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable to
Well,
change.
you also have
improve.
to believe it's a better path. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you have to believe that I'll be better for this. And the only reason I even came to those realizations is I kept running across people that I really admired and respected, and they were like, "What's wrong with you?" I'd be like, "What are you talking about?"
Sometimes it takes that hard
I was
conversation.
like a frat boy, you know, that went into the arts, so I understand that.
Frat boy in the arts. All right. Our episode sponsor today is TravelIsSwell.com. TravelIsSwell.com has a knowledgeable traveling specialist team. They handcraft every aspect of your vacation experience. They've been to the resorts. They know what takes place at them. So when you explain what you're looking for, they know exactly what to give you. Make sure you visit TravelIsSwell.com. Enter in promo code TREMENDUM. That's TREMENDUM. And you'll get 10% off your next luxury vacation. And I'm talking like luxury. Like they have the white sand beaches. They have the candlelit gourmet restaurant dinners, lavish, stylish suites, all kinds of magnificent things that you can do on your trip. And they will know exactly how to tailor make it to you and the experience that you are either looking for or desperately in need of. So make sure you visit TravelIsSwell.com and get your getaway on today. Promo code Tremendum.
We're here with Jerry Ying, guys, producer, filmmaker, production company owner. Jerry, we connected with Jerry through a short film actually called Attorneys at Love.
Yes.
And Jerry produced this short with our director friend Daniel Finlay, who's
You
super
guys did
cool
too,
guy.
right? You
We
guys
did.
were producers on. That's how we got connected.
We came in
did.
late in the game as executive producers and helped with some stuff in post. And really just kind of, the movie was already shot and done. It was great. And we came in at the last second to help Daniel with a few
that's
things.
right. This is a great story, by the way, about filmmaking. Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel is amazing.
So, I mean, the cast of this short film was basically the cast of 911, the TV show. Peter Krause,
Yep.
Kenny Choi, who I actually know and I love. He's a
great.
good friend of mine. Angela Bassett, like
Yeah, the
led her
narrator.
voice.
Yep.
And I remember being like, "How did you get this cast?" And apparently, he was a PA. He was a PA on the show 911.
Yeah.
And while he was there, I mean, this is such a good lesson for anyone out there. There's
Yeah.
so many ways to break into this industry, but he built relationships and he's got an energy and a vibe about him. Like, okay, I believe in this guy.
Yeah.
Very confident dude. He's got his ways. I remember like he yelled at someone for not wearing a tie. Like he has an idea of what it means to present being successful.
Professional.
He
Yeah,
wore a suit and tie on
yeah,
set.
on
right?
set.
It's
You know
very
what I mean?
Christopher Nolan
It's
right there.
Very, very. I mean, I was a producer and I was like way underdressed.
Yeah.
But I was also not going to put on a freaking tie to go produce something.
It's hot out there. Come on.
He put together and convinced all these people. He wrote a script. Well, he had a writer. He was working with a writer. The script's good. Attorneys at Love. It's sort of like a time travel.
Yeah, maybe we'll play a little clip here. If you're watching on YouTube
It's
or
fun.
listening, we'll play a little clip. Daniel,
Yeah, it's kind of like a sliding doors sort of thing, right? With
Yeah.
Peter Krause and Kenny are the two lawyers for this
Yeah.
couple. And it's fun. It's a really fun
They go
concept.
through all the things that they would go through or are about to go through and have to
If
determine
they're going to come together.
If they're going to do
right.
it.
That's a concept. If you knew what was ahead of you,
Yeah.
As a couple.
would you get into it? And then it goes into this sort of like sci-fi
Alternate
space
reality.
It's like a pre-crime, it's like a
Yes.
Minority Report, but for couples,
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like if
it's-
you knew ahead of time that, such and such person
Yeah.
was going to.
It's funny and it's thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's where we met. And
Yeah.
I think Robert Siegel brought us together.
That's
and
right.
I was
Rob,
like,
both Rob and Daniel were planning to have on the show to talk about directing and, of course, market research, which is incredibly interesting. But Jerry produced that film.
yeah, that was an easy job for us to come in and support how we supported. It was not a money job. Let's put it that way.
It wasn't for us either. But
But hey, we met each other.
We did meet, and
Yeah.
we have accomplished a lot of cool things since. But there is a feature script for that.
Yeah, it's in the
Yes.
works.
And I've heard it's really good. Were we
I got
planning
to
on
read-
taking a look at it?
No, I got to read an early draft of it. I
Okay.
think they were still doing a lot to it, but it's
I read an
cool.
early draft.
It was cool. I know Daniel was still working on some things, but
Yeah.
It's an interesting, it's interesting to think, like, those are, like, I watched recently, here's another film that would not get made today, but I forget where I was, but I was watching What Women Want. with
yep,
Mel Gibson.
exactly. Yeah.
Great one.
Another great, very funny film. And I know they remade it the other way
Yeah.
around with
They did
the
with
women.
Taraji P. Henderson, right?
Yeah.
Was it Taraji P? Yeah. But I
At
was
Paramount
like,
Plus.
this is such a gem. And it's also
So
a
good.
callback. And like now everything is DC, Marvel, Studio. Like, where are the rom-coms? Where
Yeah,
are
rom-coms are gone.
those
They're all being put
Straight
on
to Netflix,
streaming
yeah.
services. They're
Straight to
being done
Netflix.
by streaming services because people are watching them more at home.
Yeah, but they're fun to watch.
They're
On the
so
big screen.
good.
You
They
get
are.
the real big movie stars. There's just something about watching it on the big screen with people who can really hold that screen.
Mel Gibson was great in that
Oh
one.
my God, he's so good.
He's so funny. And there were a couple younger actors that have grown into
bigger
who
things.
else? Who else is in that one?
I can't remember right now.
She was in Twister also.
Oh,
Helen Hunt.
Well, she was big at the
she
time.
was-
She was big at the time. She was great in it also. But I think his daughter. Who was his daughter?
Marissa Tomei,
Marissa Tomei
Alan
is great.
Alda.
She's always great. Alan Alda.
Oh,
fantastic.
Alan Alda was the agency
So
guy.
Ashley
Marissa Tomei
Johnson.
played a very. I was wondering about that.
Judy
because-
Greer,
Judy
Oh, Judy
Greer.
Greer, right?
Sarah Paulson.
That's right. Marissa Tomei played just a sort of outside love interest, like a sort of a secondary character. And
Yeah.
I was wondering, I was like, this is kind of too small of a part. Maybe this preceded My Cousin Vinny.
I think it may have. No. Maybe it was right around the same time.
because I can't imagine going from an Oscar nom to this role. This was a full on just.
Right.
But it, yeah,
She's great.
What Women Want was 2000. My Cousin Vinny would have been before that.
Oh,
for
it
sure.
would have been in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
that film you could still remake.
That was in 92.
Though you shouldn't.
It was 92.
The two youths.
The two.
Two youths.
So
What?
what's next for you, Jerry? What's cooking?
Well, I just got back from Bucharest. We're doing this TV series, doc series on the sewer kids. So literally just got back from that. I've got like 3 or 4 scripts. We're sort of trying to get those final pieces together to package.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now what I'm doing is I'm really establishing myself in terms of how I want to work as a producer. So I'm working with Michela Scolari out of Italy, and she has every project she brings across my table. I'm just in love with because she's so passionate about the subject matters, and she has some amazing properties. And I kind of like the idea of European stories being told from an American perspective, and it fits certain stories. Some do better not being told through a European perspective.
Yeah.
And then I'm now working with Lynette Cole, who used to be the head of development at Game Changers Films for
Okay.
Effie Brown. And she recently left there, and we're working together. She's Latinx, obviously Asian. And
Is that so?
Yes.
I
Yes.
couldn't
Hi,
tell.
everyone. I'm Chinese. But we're
Hey, you never know. I gotta it's like you have to have a
You're
full-on
canceled.
conversation with
You're
someone.
canceled.
Yeah, I'm canceled. Like I don't want
Cancel back. Cancel back.
cancel back.
I
Hashtag
double
cancel
cancel you
back.
back.
Hashtag cancel back.
You go into Dumb and Dumber.
Cancel back.
You can't triple
Cancel
stamp
back.
and double stamp. You can't triple stamp.
Yeah.
That sounds like a great band name.
Yeah. Cancel back.
So me and her are putting together a slate. We have like 4 or 5 films. We're trying to narrow down to 3 or 4 and going out and really going to studios and seeing.
We've tried to get in some of our ideas with you as well, like trying to find some stuff that
yeah.
we can do together as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think, first of all, I love Fresno. This
Yeah,
is like
dude.
the studio that I want to I look at Fresno as a studio.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
thing, the whole place.
And I mean, I've shot a doc out here for Condé Nast. We spent a few days out here. I don't
Yeah.
remember the drive being this far from LA. Maybe because I was in a van and being driven.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be
But-
different.
But I was driving up here and I was like, what am I going to work with you guys? I know we just recently tried something with Dwight Little, the director of Halloween 4.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we're going to find something someday.
Yeah. As we kind of come to a close here, guys, I want to ask Jerry, from your time producing, especially, what are some of the top challenges producers face that you've faced, and how do you face them?
That I faced.
like regular things that even come up all the time. Even
that
little things.
New people or indie people would just not even realize.
Yeah.
Like, oh, crud, I didn't even think that's a thing I would ever have to deal with or go through.
I mean, for me, my biggest is staying organized. Staying organized, because once you're in the producer headspace, and there's hundreds of great ideas and so many great people to work with. It's so easy to say, yes, let's do something. I think the hardest thing has been to say, this is not right for me right now. Even with someone you really want to work with, and even if it's good, you kind of have to be able to say no. You have to be able to, not only that, but you have to, one I'm still trying to navigate is, how do you be an independent producer and still make money so that you're not suffering on the financial side, especially if you have a family and you don't have, say, like a job, like a head of development or head of production somewhere.
Yeah.
Right.
That balance has been tough. But I think that's all connected. I think it's making sure you're clear about what your abilities are. Your scope is a word in terms of don't take on too much, and just sort of being organized about it. And so this is all still very new for me, but now I'm starting to understand, okay, this is the direction I want to move in. These are the people I want to move forward with, and these are the things I want to work together with, but also being very transparent to everyone. What you don't want to do in this industry is start promising everything to everyone and then getting caught up in just being very upfront and honest about it. Everyone understands that producing is it's time. And when you get involved in someone, you're also using someone else's time if they think you believe in them. And so I think it's important to not waste people's time.
Yeah. There's a saying that has grown on me a lot. The more I hear it, I think I got it from like scripture or something, church. Maybe it was like from a church thing, but love is spelled Time. And I think that relates to just about anything.
That cannot be from the Bible.
It's not from the Bible, but I think it's from someone in our church that was like speaking on a topic.
A message.
Yeah, and I
agree with that.
I fell in love with that, but I think it totally relates to what you're talking about too. It's like the projects you love and the people you love, the people you want to work with, you got to devote adequate time to each and every one of them. Otherwise, like you said, you're going to look like you're falling apart and you're not trustworthy. You're not someone that people want to work with because you're spread too thin. Yeah,
you will fall apart, and you'll lose yourself in a way that it's too hard to gather yourself back. You can do it, but you go through some serious mental anguish and distress, and even depression. Some people by not being able to be organized, not being honest with yourself and your time and what you're capable of doing. So, like, truly being honest with yourself will allow you to put forth the proper amount of effort to maintain your own mental well-being and physical well-being, because it can go past mental into just really dragging you. But to be able to have yourself straight in a way that you can help be a benefit to others and not a burden.
And I think there's another level even to that. You don't know what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's really important to seek people who know and be open to, when I was in Italy, we were having this conversation, and I've been moving towards a space of really trying to be direct in terms of all communication, instead of like, if someone wants to work with you, then you don't have to it doesn't have to be this, we're friends, we're working. It's like, hey, I got this thing. Are you interested? No, cool, moving on. And, when you get to connect on something, it's great that you have a relationship. And so I've been trying to I was having this conversation about, I'm just trying to cut out all the BS.
Yeah.
And Michaela, to her credit, was sitting across from me. She's like, look, and this is usually what I do to people. Mm-hmm. She was looking me right in the eye and she was like, you're not doing it yet. And I was like, that's totally fair. I'm trying. She's like, you're not doing it yet. And it just landed on me. And I think about it all the time. And a lot of that is people who have the strength to be able to look at you and tell you something that they're trying to express something to you. Because if you don't know, they're not going to spend all the time trying to explain to you. That's just the most direct way.
Yeah.
And I've had that type of conversation where you're trying to stop, just focus.
Yeah.
This is what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. Because anyways.
I think the people who care most about you are going to tell you the things that you want to hear least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those enablers out there.
Yeah.
Those ones are the bad ones.
Agree.
Because they will let you think that whatever you're doing is wonderful. That's how people like talented people like Lindsay Lohan get in trouble. They get around people that are like, oh, just go ahead. Oh, no, you don't need to change. You don't need to stop doing what you're doing. Oh, it's just do whatever you want. Don't let anyone tell you any different. That will get you in so much trouble.
Yeah.
The people that are willing to risk their friendship with you out of love for you, those are the ones you want to have nearest.
And like being open to it. And so like one of the confidences, because, you know, you're right. There's a lot of times you're going to be in this business and it's going to challenge you to even believe in yourself. And you will take on a little too much at different times. But, you know, I was on the red carpet at Rome and Gil Bellas and Christopher Backus, Mira's husband, pulled me across the side and they were like, yo, man, we go to war with you on anything. And they were like, look, you don't know what you don't know, but you have the goods. And I remember taking that in. And to me, I interpreted it as I'm willing to learn.
Yeah.
I'm willing to seek and I'm willing to learn. And I have a healthy ego, but my ego is not big enough I don't need to be right. It's not important to me, being right. And I think that's an important way to move through this business as well. And,
that's a great point. I couldn't have said it better. A lot of great lessons in everything that you just said. For anyone listening out there who's interested in creating anything, writing, filmmaking, producing, a lot of it is relationship building, and it's just good human decency lessons that you're learning along the way. And I think that's a great stuff.
It's so connected.
Yeah.
Work and our work and life, it's so connected if you let it.
It really is.
It should be symbiotic. As you grow as an individual, it should make you a better producer or filmmaker and vice versa, because you're challenged all the time.
Jerry, where can people follow you and follow Hero LA, follow what you guys are doing? What's on social media? Where can we follow you?
I think we're Hero LA on Instagram. I'm True Ying on Instagram. Our website for our company is herola.xyz.
Sweet.
Which is great because we thought we were being, it's funny because XYZ is Google's alphabet parent company. And we thought we were being like bespoke when we're like, we're gonna jump to .xyz, you know, before anyone else. And then no one jumped. And then we were like out on our own. But now it's been long enough where I feel like it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool.
We're www.herola.xyz.
That's awesome. Great. We'll throw that up here on the screen.
Yeah. And then just Hero's doing its thing. I'm kind of doing my thing now. It's always interconnected, and I'm always trying to bring productions back to Hero LA. But yeah, I think that's kind of where you can find out what we're doing.
It's awesome.
We're not huge social media guys. I mean, honestly, when you're too busy, it's impossible to like be constantly posting.
Mm-hmm.
You need someone. We need someone.
Well,
so if anyone out there wants to be a social media person,
there you go.
Wants to go on a journey with us.
We're in need of one of those too, actually. Maybe we'll tag team, find someone who can double up on that.
Yeah, I like that.
Jerry Ying, everyone. This has been an awesome episode. It's been a pleasure to have Jerry up here in Fresno with us. We're going to spend some time actually the rest of the day going to see some sites, show Jerry around.
Stoked.
We're excited to work on a project together
Yes.
and have something more to show people.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you guys do such great stuff. The moment I met you guys, I believed in you and what you guys were doing, and I related to you. And I love that I'm sitting here in Fresno doing your podcast, honestly.
Awesome, man.
We're glad to have you.
We really appreciate it. Jerry Ying, everyone. And thanks again. Join us next time on another episode of Unlikely Story.
Wow.
We out.